on the P drive for this class, under the P drive for the class, okay? So, do I have that here someplace? All right, so under there, in class, okay, so under that, let me stretch it out a bit, all right? There is a folder under there with today's date on it, 01-14-2015. In there right now, the only thing is this file. This is the comment we're going to put at the top of the program. That make sense? All right, if we don't get it all done today, that's fine. We're already ahead in here. So that's good. We're ahead in here and we're behind in the other class. So if I put them together, we're right on track. There you go. All right. That was my special surprise, John. It was so special, I didn't even realize it. All right. That's why I said, you know, when I read these teaching manuals and they say, occasionally make a mistake to see if your students are listening. Yeah, right. Purposely make a mistake. Yeah, I don't have to worry about that. Thank you. 0, 1, oops, 1. How's that? So what's there, again, is that file. All right, so if you want to take that file and copy it or do whatever, we're just going to put that in Eclipse at the top. That'll be our I like it when you have a prologue at the top. And people tell, well, I don't know how to write. I just copied the darn stuff out of the book. All right, I've got a degree in writing. And you know what's funny? It almost got me another job because a company that I interviewed with, they didn't want me to program. This was many, many years ago, but they wanted me to be a technical writer for them. My God, you know how to code and you can write? And listening to you, you can speak too. I said, what does that mean? Oh, most people we interview for programmers, they don't talk. They're like this. And they don't speak, they don't write well. Yeah, hopefully they can program, otherwise why the heck are you hiring them? But whatever. All right, so I've got that there. If you weren't here last time, you're going to be a little bit behind, but that's okay. We'll try not to go real fast. All of you, hopefully, if you're not in the virtual desktop, you must get into the virtual desktop to do this. I'll show them the other stuff too. So we're going to do a little bit of review from last time because not everybody was here last time. All right. Hopefully you've got a thing. When I say a thing, you've got something here on your desktop. You've got an icon that says Eclipse. If you don't, then go over to Start and see if you've got it there. And if you still don't, then ask John. All right, he'll find it for you. All right. I don't know if you are all aware of this or not, but I should say this because I just want people to know. I've said this to you before. If I go over here and I go to Desktop, I'm on the D drive in the virtual desktop. All right, that is the desktop. But the reason I'm telling you that is if I do this and I go to the C drive and I go down to software, that's where all of this stuff is. Don't go in there and play with it unless you want him to have to rebuild your virtual desktop. Terry's a great guy, but Terry does a hell of a lot for this company. And he doesn't really have the time to rebuild your virtual desktop unless there actually is a hardware problem or something beyond your control. But if he hears, oh yeah, you know, I was just in here and I thought I'd play with his jQuery stuff and the WebKit, and now nothing works. He'll do it, but he'll tell you, I'll do it when I get a chance. And that might be a week. All right, so we don't need that. Okay, so again, double click on Eclipse to start it up. And there's a couple things I want to have to show you if you weren't here last time. If you were here, you've already heard these. So what I think we'll do is whatever we don't finish on this program, whatever we don't finish, all right, we will finish in next class, okay? And then what I think, because like I said, technically we're kind of a little bit ahead in here, okay? And so what we'll do is we'll probably on Monday, no Monday, we don't meet Monday, but on Wednesday next week, yeah, there are no classes Monday, it's Martin Luther King Day, the school's closed. But on Wednesday of next week, we might look at one of the other programs. The one we're going to do now, this miles per gallon, that's at the end of chapter 2. We might do another one at the end of chapter 2. I'd rather just deluge you with code, so where you start to get used to doing things. All right? If I can go through this, if I can somehow find somebody can find, if Luke can spend all weekend and find a PDF, he'll get a little gold star by his name. And if he can find that, I guarantee you then I will never show another PowerPoint. I don't want to. I've got the Course Smart for the C# book. You'll never see a PowerPoint in there. All right. Okay. Don't worry about this. This is something else that we were working on last semester, and I never closed it, so well, close it now. There's my employee, the ones that we did last time. You say, well, I don't have those. Don't worry about that. They are all out in the in-class folder, but not with today's date, but with Monday's date. There's 3 files that are out there. Don't just take them and copy them in here. It doesn't work like that. This is a different editor. This is an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. It's not the same as Visual Studio. Question always gets asked, can you write Java in Visual Studio? The answer actually is yes. But since it's a non-Microsoft product, they make you jump through some hoops. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be tethered to Microsoft for everything anyway. And I don't know of any, I know people who are Java programmers. I don't know anyone who is a Java programmer that they write things in Visual Studio. They all use NetBeans, or they use Eclipse, or something else. All right. Yes. The question was, what's the difference between an IDE and a framework? A framework is they're much different. An IDE is the editor that you use and the stuff that's available to you inside of there. A framework is literally, for example, jQuery is a framework. All right? So a framework is more like you could almost call it like a software package. All right? But you are able to manipulate a framework using an IDE. That's probably the best answer I can give you. All right. All right. So again, if you weren't, this is for those of you who were not here last time. All right. If you were here last time, just don't worry, Jeff. I already tuned you out, but tune me out. So go to File and go down to Switch Workspace. Now I'm going to have them do what you said, but I just want to show you this. I don't know what yours says right there, but yours, where I have this, yours might say Jay Wanda, and that's him. Or it might just say Other, and that's okay. But just in case, okay, just click off of there, and I want you to go, what is it, Window, and under Window rather, you go to Preferences, and under Preferences, it was General, and under General, you go to, what is it, Startup and Shutdown. And then go over to Workspaces. Now, if I did that too fast, I'm going to say you said, yeah, sure, you did it way too fast. It's Window, Preferences, General, Startup and Shutdown, and Workspaces. If you do that and you've got anything that's in there that's not you, so for instance, if it says d:\users\jwanda, that's evil. All right, just kidding. Or if you got anything else that says metadata or anything else in there, just highlight all of them. You can hold down on your Shift key and keep clicking and highlight all of them and click the Remove button. And then it should be blank because we're going to reset it right now. When we go through this process and we reset it, Eclipse is going to restart. So if your screen goes, don't worry about it because it automatically does that. The workspace is kind of like the big folder that holds everything. Right now, if you don't change yours, all that stuff is going to go to John, because John was the one who was here during break, thank you, and he worked with Adrian to set all this up. All right. So if you've already done that and applied, click OK, etc. Fine. So I'm going to assume you've done that. Then when you come over and you do a File, Switch Workspace, it should say Other. But before we do that, let's do one last thing. Let's minimize this so we're out here. Then right mouse click on your desktop, choose New, choose Folder, and call it something that's kind of relevant to this class. I've already got one called Java, but call it Java or call it 152-143 or something, because that's where all of the Java that you do this semester is going to be housed. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. So I'm not going to do it because I already have, but I'm supposing that you just did that. You created the new folder and you named it accordingly. Then go back to Eclipse, so click the button on the bottom. Now do the File, Switch Workspace, and go to Other. And then what you're going to have to do is either manually put in here, if let's say you called yours Java. So let's say that for David right there, he would say d:\users D Brown, I know it's a number, but I don't have any idea what it is. It's 40 something, I think. 42, all right, / desktop. He can manually type that in, but that's a lot of work, and he may end up typing it in incorrectly. So what you can do instead of typing anything there is just click Browse, click on Desktop, and find your Java folder that you just put in, the one that just says, I guess under Users, and You, all right, wherever. Just iterate over to where you were under the desktop. In someplace over there, you should have the folder that's called Java. Find that, and then click OK, and then it'll fill up for you automatically. If it still doesn't work or you have a problem, raise your hand, and I'll walk over there, or John will walk over there and help you. All right? But I'm going to give you a second to do that. Then what we did that you missed last time is we did the equivalent of one of those programs that you saw before, a little bit more detail, but we wrote it, then copied it, made some changes to it for version 2, then copied again, made some changes to it for version 3. Again, it's all out there in the 01-12-2014 and 01 folder. All right, so my hope is that Eclipse restarted, and yours looks just like mine, except you have nothing in here right now, if you just did this for the first time. If you were here last time, you might have employee 1, employee 2, and employee 3. Once Twitter searches, I'm using the same folder for my Android stuff. All right, so that's the Android. It's an Android project. Don't worry about that right now. Yes. The question was, let's suppose you did this. How do you bring that back? Is it under Window, John? I always forget. Is it what? Window, Show View? I don't know. And you want to go to Java? Or Package Explorer? Package Explorer. Okay, there you go. Thank you. You can actually close any of these. I mean, the stuff that's in here, we're not going to use this semester. So if you do want to close that, you are able to click here and click here, or you can just drag on it and drag it so it's almost off the screen. You know, either way, it's not going to matter. And again, John he can make available to you, and it's right out there on the system. There are Eclipse cheat sheets. I put a couple of them out there too. All right. So now we've got this. Am I right in assuming, for those of you who weren't here last time, you're all up to speed, correct? All right. So this is what we do then. We go, and everybody can do this now. Some of you already know how. File, New, Java Project. All right, and click. And this is our opening new project screen. We're going to create this. It's pretty simple. It's miles per gallon, but let's keep it simple. Let's call it capital M, capital P, capital G. Don't click next. Don't click finish. Just stop when you get here. First thing to look at right here is, hopefully that's the right default location now. All right, if it still says J. Wanda, you didn't do it right. Either that or you really like John. All right. But if that happens, you can, from right here, you can click there and you can browse over and change it from here. The idea is if you've set this, MPG is not part of the default location. That's the part of this folder. That this means that from now on, every time I create them, they're going to be saved to D:\users JScott desktop Java, which is this. All right, so we've got MPG. The rest of the stuff for now, don't worry about it. Just keep the defaults. Now, I showed this last time. You can click next, but it doesn't really do anything. You can just click finish right now. And that literally creates for you, under your MPG, these two things. A folder where you're going to put your source code in a minute, and a folder with a lot of pre-written Java stuff that's been archived. Jar files are Java archive files. All right, we won't use any of those this semester, so don't worry about it. So again, I'm assuming everybody's right here now. All right, so now we right mouse click inside of the little area that says SRC. Right mouse click, we choose New, and we go to Package. All right, so New Package, and we click. And it says, well, our source folder is MPG source, so that's where we're going to create this package. What do we want to call it? We can literally call it anything we want. The convention is to use your email address or that in reverse notation. So where I'm normally jscott@blackhawk.edu, you don't use the @ sign. I use edu.blackhawk.jscott. You want to do something like that, you can. technically you could put Ralph in there, and the system wouldn't care. All right, but since we're trying to develop good practices, edu.blackhawk.jscott. All right, so you can do the same, and Luke can put L. Kirkpatrick, etc., whatever, something like that, and then just finish. Then you'll notice you've got another file, another thing in there. What we've done so far is the equivalent of creating a folder called MPG, in which we put a folder called source, in which we put a folder called edu.blackhawk.whatever. That's not exactly what's happened, but in generally, that's what we just did. Okay? Now the magic will start. So now we're going to come in here where we've got this package. We're going to right mouse click, choose new again, and now go down to class. All right, so right mouse click, new class. And now it says, okay, here's your source folder, here's your package. All right? We have to add only one thing to two things to what's in here. First of all, this is what we're going to name our class. Even though our package in our program is called, the folder is MPG, we can still call it MPG. That's fine. But if you look up here, and some of you saw this last time, I'm going to click that button right now, or the checkbox. It says public static void main. If you don't click it, you've got to write some code yourself. If you do click it, the code will be written for you. So I'm going to click right there. So your screen should look similar to mine, except, of course, your package name will be different. All right? And then click Finish. And now you're going to actually see some code that comes up here in just a minute. And Dwan will tell you that she's happy because she can read it now. Because the other day it was a 10-point font, and I made it 14. All right? No, they should all thank you. All right, so this is what we have. And then what I said, what we want to do here is we want to grab that code, not really code, but that comment that we had for the MPG stuff. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to come up here. Remember how you do a multi-line comment, /*. All right, notice it already put something in there for me automatically, and I'm just going to paste that in. So now I've got a bunch of comments in here. I will guarantee you that by next week you will have two things from me in both classes. You will have a list of all the programs I plan on going over and assigning, and what I do with all these is I go into the book and pull out all those comments and put them into a file or a folder called comments. So if you want to just drag the stuff in there, you can. All right, so this is what I've got now. You really don't need this here, but it doesn't hurt. All right. Now, if you just put a /* and you hit enter and you keep hitting enter, it'll put an asterisk at the beginning of every one of your lines. If you like that better, then go for it. Just go ahead and do it. Again, I took this right out of the book. I did add this. So I can, even though it's early, I can show you the if statement. Okay? Yes. Did I? Wouldn't be the first time. Yeah, it looks like it from right there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, make sure you've got that package statement in there. Thank you. And it doesn't matter if you put this comment before the package statement or after the package statement. The package statement this semester, other than comments or blank lines, the package statement will be the first actual line of code that's in here this semester. You're right. Thank you. Don't remove that. All right? As somebody just did. And as I showed people last time, this is just me. So this is a personal thing. It's my style. I like curlies to be on their own lines. So I do that right away. I get rid of that blank line. I get rid of this because I don't need it. And I get rid of that blank line. That's how I start a project. All right? You don't have to do that, but that's how I do it. All right? Now, forgetting this optional part that you see up here, just let's look at the comment. It says, how do you do MPG? Well, you all know this. All right? I will tell you, if you look up on the screen here, everybody, because I should tell you this, since it's in a comment, it won't matter, but you really should go back in here and change that to this. All right? When I first did it, I threw it into Word, so it put the smart quote in there. And even though it's in a comment, it won't matter, but I'd recommend changing that anyway. All right? So, I want you to tell me, Okay? How are we going to start this program? I'll give you a hint. We're going to need 3 variables. What are they? What are we going to call them? And what are their types? All right, there you go. All right. What kind of variables are they going to be? And we'll just initialize all of our variables to 0.0. All right, and I'm going to put a comment afterwards that says miles driven. Gallons used. And literally, that's miles divided by gallons, right? So I've actually put the little formula that we're going to do. Sorry, need a semicolon. And again, if you want to be anal and line stuff up, go ahead and do it. I don't care one way or the other, whether it's lined up or not lined up. All right? Again, those of you who weren't here last time, you notice we get this yellow stuff over here. If you look up on the screen here, it's yellow here and it's yellow here. Eclipse is telling us that we've got 3 variables that we're not using in the program. So I could click on it, and then it says, well, if you don't want it, I'll remove it for you. Don't do that. Otherwise, you got to type it in again, or do a Control-Z to bring it back in again. Question? No. Okay. All right. Does what we've done so far make sense to everyone? All right. Now, we've got 2 choices. We could hard code a value in here, and I'm going to just show you this. Don't do what I'm going to show you, what I'm doing, but just so you show you this. So I could say we went 300 miles, and I used 15 gallons. All right, so I could do this and just type out, do a system.out.println, and I could say your MPG was MPG. Okay, and this will work. Okay, so I could save this now, and to run it, it's just run, and there it is. Oh, it doesn't like something. That's okay. I'm not even worried about it. We'll fix it in just a second. But I didn't do the calculation. All right. So that would probably help. And I can even do it here. I can say double MPG equal miles divided by gallons. I can do it right there. That's fine if I want to. Move that out a little. Move that out a little. That's okay. All right. Save it and run the program. Now, your miles per gallon was 20. What's the problem? Those of you who were, anybody who was not here Monday, what's the problem with that program as it currently stands? You're all thinking, if he doesn't look my way, he'll think I was here Monday. All right. The problem is every time we run it, we get the same output. Because we're hard coding our input, which is typically not what you want to do. Does that make sense? You typically don't want to do that. All right. So with what we're about to do, I'm just going to do it the way that we did it last time, and I'm going to have you go all the way back, so if you weren't here and you want to see it, if you turn back to page 102 in the text, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, no, it is equal to 0.0 and 0.0 and 0.0. So I'm just going to do them like that, because I want to be able to run this program multiple times and put in different values every time. I don't even want this anymore, that statement. Okay, so all these things came back, etc., and that's fine. We're going to fix them in just a minute. If I ran the program now, it would run, but it would give me absolutely no output because there's no output line in there. All right, but it should. I don't know why I would get any kind of error message. Run, there it is. And you get nothing, because it's exactly what we've told it to do. All right, and again, what I'm saying right now, this is all stuff I told people last time, but I want to say it again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a line of code that's very similar. Oh, I'm sorry. I need one more variable first. Okay. So I'm going to say here string. We'll just call it input. And we're going to set that equal to the empty string. All right. And that will holds inputs, something like that. All right. All right. So now I'm going to say input equals, and I'm taking this almost directly from the way you see it in line 24 on the bottom of page 102. J option pane. I'm sorry. Yeah, J option pane dot show input dialog, and I'm going to go up to the next line because I'm going to run out of room otherwise. I'm going to say, please enter miles driven. Okay? And I really don't even need a space there. It's not going to matter one way or the other. All right? And when you look at that, you go, Jeff, you got a problem. Look, it's red and there's an X. It's because we have to put another line up here. And I can tell you what it is, and you can manually type it in, or you can let the editor figure it out for you. So if I take my mouse and I put it right here, it says, hey, you got a problem. It doesn't know what J option pane is. But if you want, I can import this file where it's defined. So if I highlight J option pane, and I use my quick help from Eclipse and click right there, it added that line that you see in blue. And now that went away. Or you can manually type it in. All right? Either way will work. All right? So now I want to say miles equal. Anybody have any idea what we're going to say right here? Bless you. Anybody have any idea what we're going to say? No, no, no. There you go. Thank you. See, that sneeze was worth it. You sneezed, and all of a sudden, all this stuff floated in your head, and you're like, yeah, I know what the answer is. So it's double dot parse double input. And you don't have to have a blank line in here. You can do just like that. That says take whatever I just put in there and convert it. Does that make sense? All right. And because it's getting late and I'm getting lazy, I'm going to copy that and do the exact same thing and change it from miles driven to gallons used. And that'll become gallons. Now we can use our nice statement from before, all right, where we say MPG equals miles divided by gallons. And then I can come in here and use a statement that's similar to line 42 on page 103. Message. Now this won't be formatted very pretty, but if I didn't make any mistakes, it'll work just fine. Now, give me a second here, okay? I'm going to save this. I'm going to run it just to show it to you, all right? So please enter miles driven, 300, gallons used, 10, all right? And I should have put a backslash n there. But you see, it works, all right? So I should have come right here and put a backslash n there. Sorry about that. And let me drag this over a little bit so everybody can see everything. That should be everything. Now, what we'll do next class, we're out of time, but what we'll do next class, if you remember I put in there optional, so I will show you a couple things. I'll show you constants. We'll take the same program, and we'll put constants in it, and we'll put a couple if statements in it, so that you won't be able to put in numbers that are out of range. All right, I said the miles driven, we're going to keep it to a range of 1 to 1,000. Gallons used will be 1 to like 50 or something like that. All right, so I'll show you all that stuff. So we'll pick it up here next time. What I'm going to do, in case we run out of time or you got to leave or whatever, I'm going to take what we've done so far, this folder, and I'm going to do a save all here. And this folder, now just so you see this, I want to show this to you. It's under my Java, MPG, source, edu, Blackhawk, JScott. There's the file we just did. Right there. That's the whole file. All right? I'm going to grab just that file and I'm going to throw it in the folder out there with today's date on it. So if you fall behind or for some reason yours doesn't work, you'll be able to actually take this whole file and just copy it into your project. The only thing you'll have to change will be that. You don't want to use that package name. So I'm going to grab this file and I'll bring the program back up again and I'm going to do a save as on this. And I'm going to save this out to the P drive. And I don't know if you realize this or not, but one of the reasons that, I said we're ahead in here, one of the reasons we're ahead in here is we're not doing GUI stuff. That's what's holding people back in the other class, is the GUI stuff. All right? And that's one of the reasons when I teach that in here, I can show you how to do this stuff. You can do GUI stuff in Eclipse. I'm not going to show you. You want to learn on your own, you can. But we go through it next semester. I'm not going to show it to you now because that would just take more time. We're concentrating on the language here. All right, so I'm going to call this mpg.java. All right, so it's there now. All right, so here's the actual program if you needed any more of that. It's not complete. It's farther than I thought we'd get today. All right, so that's good. And that's everything from main on down. So the only thing you're missing here is the thing with a public class MPG on it. Not enough room to show that. Maybe there is if I maximize this. I don't know. And you feel free to change any of this stuff. If you don't like where I said you drove or you want to put a colon or something in there, then do it. It's not a big thing. Again, John said this before, but I want everybody to hear this, that if you think you're falling behind, the time to start, catching up or whatever is now. I would suggest go back and read chapters 1 and 2. John is here on Fridays between 8 and 12. And are you here 1 to 5, Mike, on Fridays? Or is there noon to 5? So there is coverage in this room. There are no classes scheduled this semester in here on Fridays, to my knowledge. And there's full coverage from 8 till 5. And a lot of times, I know because I talked to both of them, that there are very few people who come. And especially if you're more on the shy side and you want some one-on-one attention, it's a good time to come. I realize Fridays may not be the most opportune time. It's the time when we don't have classes scheduled in here. All right? Move my cursor? Ah, okay. We could have put more comments in here. That we could have put a comment, I'm not going to, up here that said input miles driven, input miles or gallons used, calculate miles per gallon, output results, something like that.